Every day, there are people all over the world looking to create better lives for themselves and their families. These are moms or retirees or college students, everyday people. They're freedom builders, and these are their stories. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Jungle Scout Seller Stories. Today I'm joined by seven-figure Amazon sellers and business partners, Dan and Eric. I met Dan and Eric a few years ago. We've kept in touch over the years, and I'm glad to finally bring them on to tell their story. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. How are you, Greg?
I am great, and I'm excited for you guys to share your story with the rest of the world. I know quite a bit about it, and it's very inspirational. And with that being said, you want to start off by just telling a little bit more about you guys?
We started selling on Amazon in 2011, back when me and Eric we were full-time employed, had jobs just like everybody, and got started with retail arbitrage. We did that for a few years and eventually transitioned to wholesale, where we found some of our real success, and it's been pretty phenomenal ever since.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, retail arbitrage in the event is buying products on clearance, or generally from big box type stores to resell at a profit online. And so we're going to stores around the country in the Southeast for us, in case you can't tell by our accents. All loading up the van with stuff to sell on Amazon, and did that for a couple of years, right?
Yep.
What were you guys doing for your full-time jobs before you got started, out of curiosity?
We actually both worked at the same company. We worked at a online games company that sold cardboard and video games online.
Yeah, like trading card games.
Cool. And how did you guys find out about this whole retail arbitrage thing?
It's actually pretty funny. One of the guys who worked there with us, he was the CFO of the company, actually. And there was one day he came in and he gave his notice, and we were both just unbelievably shocked, like, what is going on? And talked to him, and he's like, hey man, I've been selling on Amazon, and it's just, I'm making more money doing that part-time than I am coming into work. So I just wanted to pursue it full-time. And that's really how me and Eric just got started, got the idea of, this is a possibility.
So then you're like, Eric, dude, we should try this. Like, screw these jobs, man. Let's try this arbitrage thing.
Yeah, well, I wish we were that upbeat. We said, hey, Eric, there's something that may work. Let's try throw some, a couple of dollars at it and get a little proof of concept, which is what we did. And then with the proof of concept, that conversation came along like, okay, can we do this for real? Is this happening? And so after about 3 months of moonlighting, full-time employee RA on weekends and evenings, it's really literally like January 1, 2012, we quit our jobs and have been, self-employed, if you will, ever since.
So that's all. It only took 3 months for you guys to have the confidence to go all in on it.
Right. I mean, that was we definitely didn't have the revenue or profits to do it, to decide to go all in on it at the time. But we saw the proof of concept. I mean, our story is a bit unique. We started with $600, and that was I didn't really have any credit, and Eric had terrible credit. So we had to go get a little credit card, to go out and start buying stuff with. And we would go and we would run up our charge all the $600 or whatever, go send it into Amazon, and stuff would sell. And it was just like, wow, we were, being able to see that level of being, we send to buy a product and send it in and see that level of sales, we knew that it would be possible to scale going forward. And we were a lot more confident in it.
What were you guys married at the time, or what did your families think about this? I mean, I remember back when I told my wife this, she was like, dude, you have a pretty good job. You're a little bit crazy. Like, get back to work. Like, what were your families and friends thinking?
Well, I was married at the time, and my wife definitely did not like the idea at all. I remember she was like, please, seriously, don't do this. I had actually already quit before I even told her that we were going to be doing this full time. I'd come home and I was like, hey, I left the job, and me and Eric are going to be doing the Amazon thing going forward. And she asked me to go get my job back.
I was seeing someone very seriously at the time, and it just, it was obviously, didn't go over well. And beyond that, it's not just the shock of it. It's also, it takes a lot of time, so there's a little rockiness in the first, like I'm dedicating all my time to this. I mean, we were on the road. If we weren't on the road, we were packing a couple of days with the family, right back on it. But I was like, this is a means to an end. This isn't the end game for us. We're just building capital, because as he said, we started very low funded, probably completely ineffectively funded. But so I was like, listen, I just need to build capital. It's going to be a rough 12 months, 18 months, maybe 2 years, but this is not the end game for us. Trust me. So there's, it's not just the initial shock. It's, we were putting in some serious work at the first. Now later on, a little bit of a spoiler, we'll tell you how we work minutes, if up to maybe an hour a week on our business now. But that was, the price for that was paid in the years doing retail arbitrage.
Sounds like you had good jobs working in this place. I mean, what were you guys thinking? Like, sounds like your friends and family thought you were a little bit crazy, but also maybe kind of supportive. Like, what was going through your head?
I think it was tougher for Dan because beyond it, I'd only been working in this company with Dan for a year, maybe a year and a half when we did this. And that was the first real job I had had. I played poker all of my adult life from like 20 until I guess about 33, 32 when I started at that company. So risk never was a thing for me. I had confidence in my abilities, foolishly possibly, but sometimes that's what it takes. And for Dan, it was a little more difficult.
Yeah, it was a lot. For me, it was definitely tough. It's one of those things. It was like I was so excited about it, and I felt like we could do it, but it wasn't easy at all. I mean, it was walking away from a standard paycheck and insurance and all of those things is very hard.
Cool. So let's fast forward. Give us a little bit of an understanding of kind of what your Amazon business does today and revenue or team size, or give us a few insights of it.
Well, I'll let him give maybe the details. I'll give you the segue from RA. So we were building capital, as I said. This was and it was a means to an end. So we tried a couple of things. I'll hit on real quick. We tried a brick and mortar toy store because in the summer with RA, we were particularly Q4 focused, which means toys, a lot of things that sell really well in Q4. Summer was a little more lean, so we'd have time where we couldn't really source products as effectively. So we tried a brick and mortar toy store. That failed miserably. We tried an online website trying to sell trading card games similar to the company that we had left. That was terribly. The third summer was when wholesale, the wholesale model came around, where Dan was just like, listen, we've been to trade shows, not had much success with this. We're introverts. It didn't work out really well for us. And he's, he's just sitting there one day and I was like, he's like, I would like to buy this product. It's got a great sales rank. There's not many people selling it. Why can't I buy this product? And that's, I asked him, well, why can't you? And we just both looked at each other. It's like, okay, well, let's reach out to them and see how it works. So that's how, like, buying things wholesale, the plan was, and spoiler alert, it did work out for us, was to have products shipped to us to bring us off the road so we could stay with our family. Like the margins, bottom line look a lot different RA, but when you add time into the equation for retail arbitrage versus wholesale, for us, it's not even close. Being off the road with our families, and that was July of 2014, and we have been 100% wholesale 6 months after that. And the only reason we waited, I was ready to go all in wholesale after about 2 months, but you prepared your entire business for Q4 as a retail arbitrage company, so we had to capitalize on that. That was the last retail arbitrage quarter, was Q4 2014, and since January 1, 2015, it's full wholesale. And now you can tell them about our team.
For sure. It's actually kind of funny because we've changed our business quite a bit over the past year and a half or so. One of the big changes that we made is that we closed our warehouse and outsourced all of our prep to a prep center. And so currently what our company looks like, I believe we did about, $5.5 million last year.
Right. I'm not close to the numbers just yet, but
I think we have, we currently have 2 employees that run the day-to-day operations with a couple of virtual assistants, and that's it now. Whereas we used to have a full warehouse and stuff like that. But that's been one of the major changes for us is kind of scaling back that side of our operation and really doubling down on the value that we provide the companies we work with.
So that's congratulations on your success. First of all, that's $5.5 million a year business is something that most people only dream about. And, we see these things with like people like you guys, and it's an incredible success. But I'd actually like to dig into some of the hardships because, as you guys know, being an entrepreneur is like the most amazing thing in the world to me. Like I'm incredibly passionate about it. It's changed my life significantly. I'm sure the same is true with you guys. But it took some work to get there, right? You guys have been hustling. You had these failed attempts and long nights, and you guys have had to change your business model a little bit. And let's dig into that. So what were you guys thinking when you were starting this brick and mortar store or the online store? And give me some more stories around that.
For us, it was like whenever we were doing retail arbitrage, like we were doing fantastic. I mean, as far as numbers wise, like our profits were great, but we were constantly out there on the road. And that was our goal was, summer was a slow time for us anyway. And that's why, Eric mentioned, we always started our little projects in the summer. And we were just looking for ways to build a regular income that wouldn't have us out there chasing our next dollar. So, we tried with the toy store, and our goal was, throughout the year, this thing will be producing income, and, we'll still have to hit it really hard in Q4, but at least we'll be off the road and be able to spend time with our families. Well, that store didn't work out. Then the next summer we tried something else, and eventually got to wholesale. But that was the logic behind it is we were just looking for anything we could find to not have to be out there in store shopping and away from our families for days and days on end.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the thing that ended up being a huge headache for us that we could have avoided is something that we've taught from the beginning, but only recently became following our own method or whatever, which is shutting down the warehouse, like employing people for a warehouse, having the HR department, because those type of laborers are high turnover, and so it was just draining on us. It was difficult to get people to work. It was just a lot of logistical issues that we had not realized. And as we continue to scale, which is also like, we're very proud of our 5.5 million, whatever it's going to end this year. But last year, the year before that, we're at $7.5 million. And part of that is scaling down, finding better contracts with providers so that we can, have the same profit, if not more profit. I think we're actually going to be more profitable at 5.5 than we were at 7.5. So like we've really been more selective with our accounts, really working those, I guess Dan said, forming those relationships. So and I think that if we kept the warehouse going, it would have taken away from that. We would not gotten to that because we were so involved in all the turmoil, the day-to-day of managing employees and things of this nature that it was taking us away from the creative, expansive. Now we're in such a much better place with the employees that we have in place, and they're empowered. And so that was a big, I didn't realize how big of a problem it was going to be, and ended up being a drain on us, really.
Actually, I had a very similar experience with my Amazon business. Last year, I did significantly less revenue than the year before, but I actually had about the same amount of profit and much less headaches. At one point I was just like growth mindset. And then last year is when I really started thinking a little bit more about like, okay, like, do I want these lower margin products or like these ones with lots of headaches? And it sounds like you guys kind of a similar mindset or similar shift. And the other thing I'm really picking up on here is that it sounds like, throughout this entrepreneurial career, not to put words in your mouth, but it seems like you guys found the point where you had a better understanding that you need to not exchange dollars for hours and instead create systems that are generating money for you. Was that like did you realize that in the time, or is this more something that like looking back, you can kind of identify that?
No, I mean, it's actually funny. We're relating to this, but 100% I agree with you that's what we found. And it's actually how we came across Jungle Scout. Interestingly enough, when we first started getting into wholesale, like I'd never heard of Jungle Scout. And we were trying to build a software that would let us understand how many times things were selling in a month.
Because that's really important for us.
Right. Like we didn't have a bevy of cash. We weren't looking to buy massive closeouts and things like that. We're very replenishment based. So like we're constantly restocking the same SKUs over and over and over. So we were looking for better ways to gauge those metrics and be able to get to narrow down on the orders that we were wanting to. And it was funny because I remember I was like, we started tracking all these different data points and we were trying to come up with how we were going to build the software. And I was telling somebody about it and they were like, have you ever heard of Jungle Scout, man? And I was like, no. And then I went and I got the program and it was so much better than what I had envisioned in my head.
Nice.
And it's that same concept. It was like the time for dollars things. Even doing wholesale sourcing initially, it felt like we were trading time for dollars because we're sitting there manually plugging through catalogs. Like we're sitting there doing all these things manually, trying to figure out how many times things should sell. And it's just not as scalable. So like, absolutely. That's been like a real big theme with us is trying to find ways to automate or outsource pain points in our business to let us kind of move forward.
So give us some more practical tips of other ways that you guys have been able to do that. It sounds like Jungle Scout's been a tremendous amount of help. What are some other takeaways you have that you can share with the listeners right now of those big takeaways to help automate your business?
First of all, before you automate anything, you should understand why you need automation. So just your software or any other software or solution that you're looking into, make sure that the trade-off is worth it. Obviously, Jungle Scout is nominal. Like if you're working on that level and you're not sure about that commitment, well, your business is. But any investment that you make, you need to make sure that you understand it so that you can make operating procedures so that you can outsource it properly. That's the thing that we've gotten to. We were just doing this work repetitively and decided, we need to document this so that I can pass this off to somebody. This isn't very difficult. I'm making it difficult myself by acting like I need to be involved. I clearly don't need to be. And so the key to all of that begins with acknowledging, what kind of time you're going to reclaim with the service or software or whatever, and then putting a procedure in place so that then that's where your business is scalable, because then you hand off this document explaining how to use this procedure or this software or this service. And there you go. It's completely replicable.
Another big thing we did was with the warehouse. It's just understanding, because once we had the warehouse, once we had everything up and running, we started looking at the dollars and cents with the warehouse. And it didn't make, we didn't realize, even though that we were able to process things cheaper, that by outsourcing that, we were able to concentrate our efforts into other aspects of our business and see much more growth. So it's like the trade-off of paying a higher price now to have our products prepped outside is a much better trade-off than we would have ever imagined, because of all the extra energy and focus that we're able to pour into things that really do move the needle in our business.
I'm imagining putting my shoes in a viewer right now. Maybe this person is hustling. They're working more, or they're working harder than they've ever worked before. They feel like super busy. They're a one-man show. They don't have anyone else to help. They're starting to kind of figure things out. How do they identify what are the first items that would be eligible to kind of like pass off to someone else? What tips would you have for them?
I would say personally, the things that you do most often. I mean, the things that you're doing more often are most likely low-level tasks and can be easily outsourced. I would start there. The things you're doing daily or weekly, or things that, repetitive things, tasks that are menial, but you just won't let go of because of your own, controlling issue. Because I know I suffer from that. It took me a long time to empower and entrust an employee. So
for me, I love that. And I think it's identifying the critical spots in your business. Like where does your focus need to be? And anytime you're not dedicating to that, you really have to look at it. You really have to look at why you're not dedicating more time there. Like Eric said, it's easy to get caught up doing a lot of the repetitive tasks, and it's easy to get caught up because you're working, right? But you're not working efficiently when you're doing that. So it's, that was a big shift for us, is understanding the effectively the choke points in our business and where our focus needed to be.
So if you were to start over today, knowing what you guys know now, give us a little insights of what that business would look like.
From day one, I would have definitely started. We would have definitely started with a prep center, and I think it's important. I think every business owner should look at it just like that. It's like, what if I had my ideal business? What would it be? And you should build your business around that. Originally, whenever we were building our business, we were looking for ways to be able to make the most dollars and cents. We weren't looking at what kind of business we wanted. When in reality, for us, the business I want is I want to be able to have a business that provides me the freedom to be able to do things that I actually want, spend time with the people I love and stuff like that. So whenever we were looking at it, the business we were building wasn't the business that we actually wanted. Like, we were constantly involved. Like Eric said, we were digging into all the problems caused by all the problems in the warehouse. We were always focused. We were just focused on the wrong thing, and we weren't truly building the business that we wanted.
So give me a little more insights of what this business would actually look like. You'd be sourcing goods from wholesalers. You'd be selling it on Amazon. You'd have your own e-commerce store. You'd have a brick and mortar store again. Give me a little bit more of the fine print.
Oh, for sure.
Before he goes, because I know he's going to be a minute. He's going to have some stuff. I want to do some really quick things that just are I think anybody should do, and it's really just a mindset. It's a small thing. So first of all, I would wholeheartedly, something I didn't do. If you're talking about starting today, I started with an individual seller plan rather than a professional one, which is $40 a month. I didn't know if I could sell 40 or more items. I would instantly do professional. This is the right mindset you want to be. I'd also set it up LLC like we did the first time, but LLC taxed as an S corp. That makes it different. And I don't want to get the legalities of it, but that's better for our business when you're scaling beyond a one person business. These are the mentalities that I would come into it with, instead of like, knowing I'm going to build a business. That's a goal for us. It doesn't have to be for you. You can just generate a lot of money online. That's certainly fine. And those kind of things aren't as necessary, that mindset. But when you're trying to build a business, particularly one that you want to remove yourself from and not be involved in the day-to-day, I think it takes the proper mindset that, like, listen, I'm starting a business. I'm not just trying to make some money here. So I think those are two really small but very important things to make sure your first thought is, I want to build a business, not just sell something online.
For us, I think Amazon provides the ultimate mode of commerce. Like it allows us to scale far beyond what we're capable of on our own. Like we've seen that firsthand. Just in trying to build a business that just trying to have a business that can ship products effectively to Amazon was difficult to get into that level of scale. So for us, Amazon offers that level of scale. We don't have to increase the size of our team to be able to ship more orders. All we have to do is develop more relationships with manufacturers. So for us, it is number one. I would start outsourcing from the beginning, and I would start with my warehouse, and I would focus on relationships with manufacturers, because that's ultimately what's been the most important thing for our business and our growth over the past year. And even though we've cut a lot of the less the less profitable lines and things like that, what we've done is we've really focused on the relationships with the lines that we do have, and that's what's really grown our margin. We found other ways to get discounts. We found more ways to get exclusivity, and it's because of all the focus on relationships. So that's the advice I would definitely give to somebody from day one. Is I think wholesale is a perfect model because it offers that level of scalability. I don't have to sit here and build brand after brand, and I don't have to focus at that level. Instead, all I'm doing is I'm working with brands to help them be better on Amazon. So that allows me to leverage the brand and its all the credibility it has, and it allows me to leverage Amazon, which means I can sell more items. So I think ultimately wholesale, if I were starting from day one again, I would definitely start with a wholesale business model, and I would focus on developing quality relationships with brand owners.
And I think I'm pretty familiar with kind of like you guys' business. And I think one of the things that really sets you two apart from a lot of people who try to purchase goods from wholesalers and resell them on Amazon is your ability to connect with those sources and those the wholesalers, right? Because if I don't know anything about it and I haven't learned anything about it and what you guys learned over the years, you'd probably try to go to a wholesaler and just be like, hey, I want to purchase this, and they'd be like, no, and you get discouraged and you never ask again. What are some of the tips that you guys have and that you found? I know a few of these, but I want you guys to repeat it again in order to be able to form those relationships with wholesalers and get them to sell the products to you. And yeah, give us some more insights there.
I'm sure Dan's going to have some good answers for that. I know he does well on the phone, but I will say that actually no is not the worst answer you can get. Yes is an immediate yes is probably, you don't know it, but that's probably the worst answer you can get, because you're going to not get you're going to be more than just discouraged. You're probably going to lose money, because if first you just reach out, hey, can I sell your product? Yeah, no problem. And it looks good to you right now. There's probably a lot of people getting that same product. That price is not going to be where you want to be. So I want to lead with a no may not be the worst answer. But anyhow, so like some specific examples about getting over, the hurdles and it's just all about a conversation, a dialogue with these people, right?
Right. It's for us. We like to look for small to mid-sized manufacturers first off, and there's the logic behind that is that it's very hard to develop a relationship with a mega brand. Like if you think of your Nikes, your giant brands like that. Like if I'm able to do something on Amazon that greatly increases their sales by an extra $1 million, that's not even going to register on their probably not even going to register on their P&L really. So we try to focus on looking for small to mid-sized manufacturers that we can develop an actual relationship with. And that's one of the things that we started doing that was a bit different, is we stopped going to wholesalers and we started going direct to brands. Now, the reason we could do that is, brands are incredibly invested in their product, whereas a lot of your distributors, they're looking to move more units, right? They're just wanting bigger orders and things like that. But whenever we were talking to brands, and we start talking to them about, how their products are being featured on Amazon, and how, talking to them about strategies to increase their sales, that's something that resonates perfectly with them. That's not just another number to them. That's something they've been working incredibly hard on. So it's, I would say that would be one of the biggest things, would be focus directly on brands where you can align with their interests.
So would an example of that, would that be like Joe's Cajun Rub Seasoning? It's this business in Louisiana that makes this, and it's distributed throughout the regional grocery stores, maybe in that state and a few other ones. They already have a product up on Amazon, or a listing, but it's crappy and they're not selling much and whatever else. Would that be an example of a small to mid-size brand owner or?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, that would be a great example of a brand owner that we might target. Now, one of the things that we do typically look for is we look for products that are performing well on Amazon. That's because, again, whenever we started this, we've always been very, very cash flow minded, and we didn't have a lot of money to invest in a product without being able to see an immediate return. So we've always been very forward and aggressive in targeting products that have established sales histories and are doing well. But you're exactly right. I mean, we do look for products, whenever we're looking for products and we're trying to establish the relationships, we're looking at products that may not have a good listing, but are still performing well despite of that. Like, there's always upward growth with the products that we target. And that's one of the things that we use to establish the relationship with the brand.
Cool. I love that. Yeah, they have like one crappy picture, a few bullet points that aren't very good, but they're still selling 50 or 100 a month or something like that.
Exactly. And it's amazing. It's amazing how like a product can do that, right? How it can have just a terrible listing, but it's such a good product or it has such a good little following that people still buy it despite all that. So, that's, that right there, what you just said is a perfect product that we would target, 50 to 100 times a month and has a lot of room for improvement. And if you just do those things, like plug in better copy into the bullets and description, put some more pictures and stuff like that, you automatically see those sales climb. And it's something that, it's something that can confirm with that manufacturer or brand owner that they made a good decision.
Well, I mean, that's when your alignment becomes mutually beneficial. They want to work with you, you want to work with them. And that's what kicks off everything in this like symbiotic type of relationship, which is what we are looking for. The last 18 months has really been our focus here.
So then you reach out to Joe's Cajun Rub in Louisiana. You say, hey, I want to sell your product. I sell through Amazon. They say, no, we already have someone that sells on Amazon. What do you guys say next?
It's funny because that's the answer we want. Is we want them to tell us no, because that means, it's that a lot of the new people or people that might be watching this wanting to get in, they hear that initially and that's where they stop.
That's what he's talking about when they ring in and tell you no and they're disappointed.
For sure.
That's what we want. We want those people to get turned away and get disappointed and run off. So that
right. One of the things that once we're told no, one of the things that I definitely want to talk to them about is I want to talk to them about, ask them how is your current performance on Amazon? How do you, let's go to your listing. Let's talk about how do you feel about the way your brand is being featured? And another thing is, why don't you want to work with more sellers? I think that's probably the most important question you can actually ask is just why. Like, if you ask them why, they're going to tell you a lot about a lot of experiences they've had with sellers. Maybe it's people breaking map. Maybe it's just people that they don't feel like they have good relationships with that are selling their products. That's another issue that a lot of brands have, is that they don't know a lot of their sellers. So whenever you get in there and you're able to be personable and start offering value, talk to them about suggestions that, whether you work with me or not, these are some of the things I feel like you can do to really enhance your product and brand on Amazon. And, that's something we do with all the brands that we work with. That's the direction we like to head whenever we're talking to a brand owner.
Cool. And then what are some of the common kind of objections that they give you, and what do you tell them to ultimately convince them to sell to you?
The most common objection is price control, like by far. And it's just, they don't know a lot of them don't know who the sellers that are selling their product are, and they don't know how they can control their prices on Amazon. So one of the things that we can do is we can start talking to them. Do you guys have a MAP or minimum advertised price policy? And if they don't, that's something we can walk them through and start to put in place. Another common issue they have is they don't understand how Amazon actually works. They don't understand, they don't necessarily understand buy box rotation and how sellers get sales, and they don't want to take away sales from people who've had accounts with them forever. That's probably the second most common objection that we get is, we've been working with these sellers forever. We're not really looking to take sales from them. And that's where you can start talking to them about, our goal is not to sell the same amount of products. We're not looking to take part of their sales. Our goal is to grow the overall amount of sales that actually come through this listing. And we start talking to them about those strategies, enhancing the pictures, giving better descriptions, plugging in better bullet points so that we can grow the sales pie and actually grow their sales as well.
And then do you offer to make those changes for them? So take new pictures or upload new pictures or change the copy, or how does that work?
It's kind of funny because one of the things that, we, as far as taking pictures, that's something that, we don't typically do, but it's one of the things you don't always have to do. Whenever we start talking to them about pictures, we usually ask them, hey, do you guys got a product portfolio or anything like that with a lot of pictures that, for your products? And that's where we can just take them and upload them to Amazon. So the vast majority, like with pictures and stuff, we actually just take what they have. And with copy, we always try to talk to them and their marketing team to see if they can write effective copy for Amazon. So a lot of the work we do is actually just plugging it in, implementation on the Amazon side, not so much doing a lot of the work ourselves.
Makes sense. They already have a lot of it up on their website or other places or these other, he's selling it in these grocery stores or what have you. You can kind of pull it off there and use it for the Amazon listing. Cool. So I hear a lot today, or I always get asked the question, and it's actually not today. It's for the past 5 years, ever since I started selling on Amazon. Is Amazon too saturated? Is it too competitive now? Is it too late for me to get started? What is you guys' response to that question?
Well, I hope not. Otherwise, we should close this place down. But no, I think that the growth on Amazon is just phenomenal. Like, I mean, year over year, it continues to outperform and set new precedents and things. I think that I think it is a good time to get in. I think that getting ungated in categories, starting following policy, and being one of Amazon's good sellers, I do expect them to be a little more stringent in the future in terms of what you can sell and who can sell it, and making sure that you're a legitimate business selling legitimate products on a legitimate platform. That's not much to ask, but coming from where Amazon was, it's quite a big change. So a lot of these unscrupulous sellers, if you will, are going to have a tough time and things of that nature. So I think it's a perfect time to get in. I think Amazon's growth, and you're going to be at the forefront of what looks to be a little more extensive process as time goes on. Amazon's going to vet sellers, in my opinion, a lot more, stringently in the future. So I think that, first of all, I don't think there's oversaturation. Second of all, I think that the opportunity is as good now as it's ever been since we've been selling on there.
I agree. Amazon's growth has been phenomenal, but it is. I 100% agree with Eric. It's being. I think today is a perfect time to get on, because I feel like as it becomes more stringent, the barrier to entry is going to continue to get higher.
And there's nothing to say that they don't stop allowing seller accounts, start charging more for them, start charging more monthly. All likelihood, people now are going to get grandfathered in. Every old attribute of our account, we're still grandfathered in. I mean, I think that our account goes all the way back to daily payouts, and now you have to wait 2 weeks. So we still have that option available if we wanted to. So you get grandfathered into these things. So if you start out now, you'll have those kind of favorable, performance on Amazon's marketplace, setting you up well ahead of your competition for years to come.
What's next for you guys? What do you foresee in your business moving forward? How do you see this opportunity and market changing in the future? Let me know.
For us, we've started. Our big focus has been developing the very direct relationships with the brands that we work with, and we're starting to branch out into. We've also added on the arm of working inside those brands to help them manage their own accounts. I think that's an evolution as brands want to go direct. But that requires you to have a pretty extensive knowledge of Amazon to be able to manage other people's accounts and things like that. But I think that's probably the biggest point of growth for us as the direct to consumer movement continues. I think that's going to be a big part of Amazon going forward. And I feel like getting in now and understanding how to be able to do that and work directly with those brands will be huge in that process.
When you look into your crystal ball, are there any other marketplaces or e-com giants that could potentially compete with Amazon?
It's funny because I feel like there's a lot of great marketplaces, but we pour all, we don't sell on any of the other marketplaces, and our logic is we want to be the best possible Amazon sellers that we can be. We don't want to be distracted and divert our attention to the other marketplaces. So for us, I think the other marketplaces are a great expansion point, but they're just not on the map for us. We want to continue to focus and double down on Amazon because Amazon's experienced such massive growth. And I don't think that's slowing down anytime soon.
I agree with you guys 100%. Everyone's always looking to potentially diversify or get into something else or the new untapped opportunity or whatever. It's just like right now they just don't exist. Like Walmart, one of those, Jet, whatever, they're just so small and it doesn't seem like they're even going to be catching up to Amazon anytime soon. At some point it will come, but it's like the next 5 years even, I don't see it happening. And I actually see Amazon just taking over more share and, more share from the e-com sites and all the small, Shopify stores and everything else. It's like, that seems to be the way everything's trending. I don't have a crystal ball, but that's my best guess.
Right. Same thing. They're just, it's like, I can't even tell you how good Walmart Marketplace is because we don't have any interest in it, but it's Amazon has just continued to grow. Like despite everything, they continue to grow and grow and grow. And it constantly is a more important platform. And it's just, I feel like any bit of focus or energy I would put in another marketplace would just be a complete distraction away from the real prize.
I know it's anecdotal, but I mean, they have their own little, ecosystem that they pull you into. And so I just ordered this morning laundry detergent and toothpaste from Alexa. I didn't even open a phone. I didn't open a computer. I was like, hey, go to my order history, order me the toothpaste. So, I mean, when you start talking about being able to just say orders into existence, I mean, we're starting to get into some Minority Report stuff with it's mind blowing. So there's still that huge, like, will there be a saturation? Definitively. History tells us that it will be, but my feeble mind can't think that far out because all I see is continued growth and continued opportunity as more devices, as we start, Internet of Things start connecting up and deliverability. It's just creating and shrinking everything to where Amazon is the solution to. It's the videos I watch, the things that I buy, and
music
of course,
the
music I listen to, and the money I make. I mean, I guess shout out to Bezos at this point in time. But no, I'm like you. I continue to see it's still well expanding at this point.
Dan and Eric, do you guys have any last tips for the viewers of this video? Anything that's important for them to know or understand moving forward?
I think for me, and it's cliche, I suppose, but if you're seeing this and you think you can do it and you're excited, you're absolutely right. And if you're seeing it and you're skeptical and you think that this may not be for you or something sketchy about this, you're probably right too. Because whatever you can do, whatever you'd like to do or not like to do. I mean, honestly, like this is two fellows from Kentucky. I mean, not only did it, but have got it perfected at this point in time. I mean, you don't really have any excuses. I mean, other than yourself. So if you'd like to be your own limiting belief, be my guest. But I mean, that would probably be my advice.
No, I think the Amazon market is wide open, and I feel like the thing that holds a lot of people back is they look for excuses to not get started. If instead you just try to find that excuse to get started, you'll get so much farther.
I like that one a lot. Guys, thank you very much for coming on and doing this interview. Your story is very inspirational. If people want to find out more about you, where's the best place for them to check out?
Definitely just check out our website, thewholesaleformula.com, or find us on Facebook, facebook.com/thewholesaleformula.
Fantastic. Thanks again, guys, and have a nice day. See ya.